Greetings, people. It's Mr. Pooh, the Trigger, yet again on another episode of the Enlightenment series. I watched a video recently, I think before I go to record the one that I'm going to record. So let me just give you an insight of the video that I watched before I get into the video that I want you to watch. It's a video of Suleman and his convoy and how they were attacked, how they were ambushed, I don't know, by a group of men in Auchi, and 7 people actually lost their lives in the process of this ambush. So when I watched this video, I actually repeated it, I think, about 5 times. When I was doing a forensic analysis of the crime scene, there are so many things that are not adding up for me. And they say, the closer you look, the less you see. I'm going to give this story a week to develop. But there are certain things that I've observed and some certain dots that I tried to connect to find out what could really have happened and how it happened. And it's very unfortunate that lives were lost in the process. It's very sad. But be that as it may, I think this is a wake-up call before we apportion it to Suleman, but this is a wake-up call to the Church of God. This is a wake-up call to the gullible followers of these prophets and these charlatans. Suleman was in an armored car. There was bulletproof all over his vehicle. His windshield was bulletproof. His side windows were bulletproof. So no single bullet could penetrate through the screens. And it's so unfortunate that the sons and daughters, or the policemen and the security, they probably thought they were invincible, strong enough, or the anointing was going to protect them. And I say this is a wake-up call. And at this point, I think they should sit down, sons and daughters, and reevaluate and become wise and open their eyes and start looking at things with a reality mindset, with an awoken mindset, and start putting 1 and 2 together. And I'm sure they will get an answer. That the anointing is not enough to do anything for you. Being close to the so-called anointing is not enough to protect you, to preserve your life, or even to open doors for you. Suleman himself knows that the anointing is not enough. Suleman himself knows that prayer is not enough. As a man, as a woman that you are, you have to do something to make sure that you are protected, or to make sure that everything that you so believe in manifests. You can spend the rest of your life of living, praying, submitting to the anointing, and nothing physical ever manifests in your life. You can spend the rest of your life wearing a wristband for protection, and when bullets start raining, they'll hit you and you evaporate. This scene is not really funny, and there are actually 7 lives that were claimed by this unfortunate event. And I think there's more to it. And me coming from a PR, background, do you know what this scene has done to Suleman? Do you know what this unfortunate event has done to Suleman's image? It has sort of exonerated him from everything. it has sort of cleared him of all the allegations that were laid on him. Because this now becomes the big thing, the big event. All those stories that were surrounding him, they have been overshadowed by this unfortunate event. But before they take on the mourning and or before they make this big, because this is going to be a big story, I guess, and it will really take time, and I'm sure they'll capitalize on this unfortunate event to make sure that it becomes big, because it's really big. 7 lives were claimed. And all those other stories that were being spoken about him, they are all going to die. At instance, they are never going to be relevant. And I'm sure they'll attach this unfortunate occurrence and all those other scandals that have been popping up, and they'll kind of make it like it has been a plan of whatever, of the enemies to try to bring the man of God down. Now that the plans of all other scandals did not work, they had to try to take his life. I'm sure that's how the story will be told. But I also want to appeal to Suleman's conscience. If he happens to watch this, or if you are one of his followers, if you happen to watch this, at this time he should reflect. At this time he should sit down and think about it. And think about his tomorrow, as it is not promised. This alone has proven that today can be your last day. And you might never see the light of tomorrow. So what does that mean? That means he has to change. That means he has to change his ways. The elderly always say there's no smoke without fire. And in the previous months, there have been noise about so many scandals coming up. And I've always, kept a little bit of a distance from these scandals, because when the story is coming from celebrities, Nigerian celebrities, personally, I don't trust these people. And I'm sure when there was this one of Halim, is it Halikem or Halim Kam or something like that? I even sent a message to Cass and then I asked him, how far true are these allegations on Suleman, on your spiritual father? And Cass said, no, they want money. They are just trying to blackmail. They want money. Then I said, okay, let me wait. And I waited, but the problem is with some of these victims, you cannot bank on them. That's why I try by all means. That's why I always avoid their scandalous stories that they bring forth. Because today you will come and bring their stories, advocate for them. In few days down the line, few weeks down the line, they'll go and negotiate. They'll get paid, and the story dies. And you'll be the one left to look like a fool, like someone who is just clout chasing. Look at what Otobo did to Maureen. So that's why people end up thinking that, why is Prof X not talking about all these scandals? Was Prof X paid? I'm sure there's a narrative that once circulated that Prof X has been paid, Prof X has been silenced to stop talking about these scandals. No, that's not the... I did not stop. And I've always said this to my audience, to people that are consistently following me, that the day I get a victim that is willing to fight tooth and nail, that has something, that has been victimized by Suleman, I'll take that case with both hands and I'll ride on. And I'll fight for that victim's justice. And I have a way in which I coordinate with my victims before I even bring their stories to the public domain. I need exhibit. I need proof. Sister Ruth gave me everything. She had police reports. She had almost everything to prove that her baby was kidnapped at Jeremiah Omoto for Fane's shrine. That's the very same thing I expect from some of these victims that come forth to say they were in a relationship with this man and A, B, C, D, and E happened, I expect at least something that can give me the confidence and the ground to stand for them and advocate for their justice. But some of them that come, they come today, tomorrow they go and negotiate, they get paid, and they become silent, and they will still be used to come back again and accuse the one who was representing them. To say everything we were saying, we were being coerced, or we were being used, or we were paid, or prophets was paying us to speak against the men of God. This is one flaw that I found with most victims who claim to be victims, especially those that were in relationships. Remember, most of these victims, they claim to have been in relationships with these charlatans. And when things don't work, when things go sour, or when the money that they used to receive stops coming, that's when they come and start saying this, and this happened. Those ones are a little bit tricky. Because those ones, once money is presented to them, they take it. And they walk away, they leave you to dry. So that has been one of the reasons why I always observe some of these stories as they come out. And when I observe, I'm waiting to see how consistent these victims are and how far they are willing to go to see justice being served. And from every of the victims that I have observed or witnessed, none of them have what it takes to fight for their own justice. At the end of the day, they will just have a cash out and they'll walk away. They'll zip their mouth. So I think I will just also use this opportunity to clear that air. That Mr. PDT did not take any money, to not talk about anything. And I always use this case of Sister Ruth Matthew whenever people say, why are you not talking about these scandals? I also ask people to say, I have been advocating for baby testimonies justice. Why are these people not talking about baby testimony as well? Why are they not talking about baby testimony? Does it mean Omoto paid them to be silent? It doesn't mean that. It just means they are not interested in the case of baby testimony. But when Mr. PDT does not put his mouth on the cases that they'll be advocating for, or on the scandals that they will be narrating on the public domains, it becomes as if Mr. PDT received the cash out. I've always told people that I have no prize. There's no man under the sun that can buy me out of anything. My standard is far much higher than any amount of money. I'm not lacking. I'm not a beggar. You know, when I always say I'm the right man for the job, it's because God equipped me and qualified me before he set me on this course. Imagine if the case of Sister Ruth Matthew was being handled, should I say, by a Nigerian blogger? Not all Nigerian bloggers are corrupt. We have others that have integrity. But let's just say the majority of them. Do you think it could have gotten this far? Do you think that? I don't think so. I think it could have been dissolved a long time ago. And man could have exchanged the hands long time ago. So for the purpose of this video, there's a video that I actually wanted to play, but I can see I've spent almost 13 minutes deliberating on this case of the unfortunate incident that took place. So I might as well just conclude it and then just speak a little bit of my 2 cents concerning the recent incident of Suleman and the ambush. And I'll do another video to talk about what I wanted to talk about. So on this case, I don't know what you people think, but I will allow this story to develop before I give you my analysis of what I think is happening or what I think happened. But there are so many wrong things on this crime scene and on the way this whole thing happened and on the way that this whole unfortunate event unfolded. 7 lives were claimed, and it's no joke. These are people that were around the anointing. And still something like this could happen to them. I hope Africans are beginning to see what they've not been seeing. I hope Africans are beginning to be wise now. That anointing alone and wristbands alone, they can't save you. When the time to dance to bullets comes, they'll hit you and you'll go down. And I also have a few questions. If Suleman knows that his life is at risk, his life is in danger, of course he knows. The fact that he has an armored vehicle, he knows that his life is in danger. Anytime it can go down. Why then does he have to put the lives of the people that are accompanying him at risk? Why can't they also get armored vehicles? A bulletproof vest is not enough. When it really goes down, they'll hit you on the head. You don't put a bulletproof vest on the head and you'll go down. So if he knows his life is in danger, why not also secure the lives of those in his escort? And those in his convoy, they just don't take their lives seriously as well. And I want to acknowledge him, Suleman, for being a responsible man. Him and his family were in an armored vehicle and they are very safe. It's those sons and daughters and the policemen who are a bit reckless, who believes that nothing can ever happen. But how can you believe that nothing can ever happen when your papa, the one you look up to, believes that anything can happen? Suleman believes, he knows that anything can go down at any time. But the ones that follow him, they actually don't believe that anything can happen because they are blinded by the anointing. So wake up, my people. Wake up. And may the souls of those that perished rest in peace. And I hope in his next convoy, they'll all be having armored vehicles. I hope they'll all be protected so that no lives can be lost this way. So as we look deeper, if we have to, but there are so many wrong things about this crime scene, so many things that are not adding up. And like I said earlier, this incident alone, in as much as it is unfortunate, it is a probability of glorifying Suleman. He looks like he's an overcomer now of all the allegations and accusations that were lingering around his name. If you don't see what I'm seeing, so just wait for a few days and then I'll bring you my insights. Then I'll do an investigative journalism for you. And then you will see the bigger picture. This is not the first time things of this nature have happened. And based on what I'm thinking, in what I've observed, in what I have concluded, it's too risky for the Church of God to hear before I have put all the dots together, before I have seen where this story is going. I can only connect these dots properly when I see how this story develops. But I already have my conclusion. I've already witnessed and observed what I've observed. And I can tell you one thing for sure. This is not adding up. But be that as it may, I'll check you out on the next episode of the Enlightenment series. In fact, I'm going to record another video. The one that I actually intended to record on this episode. I don't know how I ended up talking about the incident of Suleman and the ambush. But I might get into it soon after this one. So expect it any minute, an hour after you watch this one. And don't forget to leave a like, to leave a love, to do anything possible to increase the engagement on this video so that the algo can distribute it to so many other people. to become part of the Enlightenment series. So with that being said,